Hello and welcome to the Dinosaw for week 32, another 7 curious interesting things I saw last week. So let's crack on. First one is about how much is your data worth. This is your online data and is a survey by Coupon Birds who surveyed about 3,500 people. So it's not a huge amount of people, but it is interesting. So if you ask somebody how much would you sell your online consumer data for, and somebody could spy on what you shopped for and how much you spent, then apparently £1,452 is the average. Now it does vary by state, as you'd expect. So if you live in Colorado, or also Wyoming, it's very high as well, but Colorado, $2,820. However, if you live in somewhere like Idaho, or Tennessee is the lowest, I think, so $623. So there's quite a disparity between locations. So I don't know, I can't really draw much from it, but you know, Midwest, Colorado, Wyoming, very high, so that might be they're renowned for their personal identity and being quite independent, all that sort of stuff. There you go. There was a separate research paper I looked at. It was from 2018, was also quite interesting, which took this sort of a step further, is how much would you have to be paid to stop using certain services. And I thought the two interesting things is Google was $17,500 you would need to be paid each year to stop using Google, and Facebook was $500. Now I suspect that was what, 4 or 5 years ago. That might have changed by now, but it's interesting how people are putting monetary values on these online services. There you go. Amazon is in line to buy Roomba, or iRobot is actually the company behind it. So Roombas are these robot vacuum cleaners. Now the deal is worth $1.7 billion, and why would they spend that much on a vacuum cleaner, you think? Well, it's basically a data play. So these robots, as they pooter around your house, they figure out how big your house is. They know not only how big your house is, but the layout of your house, and to a certain extent a lot of things that are within your house. They know whether you've got carpets, they know whether you've got different types of furniture, and also whether you've got a pet, because some of them can detect dog mess, should we say. They have a camera in there, so they are looking at all sorts of things in your house. Now wouldn't this be amazing if you were a giant online shop and you would love to market your new wares to that person because they probably have an account with you. So that's probably what's going on here. It's got a lot of people a little bit nervous about, is this overreach of data? But Amazon already have things like doorbells. They also have a stake in a Wi-Fi router company as well. So they know a bunch of stuff, whether you like it or not, about what's going in and out of your house. There you go. So Amazon is buying iRobot. If you already have one of those, then your data might be going somewhere different quite soon. Pearson. So Pearson are a educational book publisher. So if you are studying for something, maybe it's accountancy or science or something like that, you may even have one of their books. So traditionally these books were bought for maybe £50 or so. They're not exactly cheap. So what you would do is once you finish your studies, you would sell them on, and each book is apparently sold on about 7 times. So each person is getting kind of their money back or thereabouts until they end up so scrappy that they're probably just recycled. Now, Pearson do also sell ebooks, but there's no way of getting any resale value from, you know, if I buy an ebook, I can't sell it to somebody else. It is licensed to me, or it's given to me, and it's very difficult to sell. So what they've figured out is a good thing and also a slightly nefarious thing. So what they've now said is they're going to turn their ebooks into NFT based ebooks. So you can then sell your ebook on to somebody else, and then you can assign the ownership to somebody else. However, here's where the bit that everybody's getting a little bit stroppy about. What they're now saying is that because they're an NFT, we can put a smart contract on it. Every time they are sold, we will get a kickback of the sale. So for the next however many times it's sold, we will always get some money back from the sale. Even though you bought it at the beginning, they're going to take a percentage of the cut of the money that you spent on the book. So the way that works is it'll just probably carry on forever and ever, and that's why they want to get some money from it. They did actually announce that they want to make $100 million worth, or pounds worth of savings, so this is probably part of the strategy of that as well. So yeah, some people just say, well, that's a smart way of doing it, that's a smart use of NFTs. Other people are saying, well, that's extortion, right? You shouldn't really be demanding money from resale of something that somebody's already bought. There you go. So potentially a slightly nefarious use of NFTs when you mix it with the real world. Instagram have walked back a bunch of their changes. So about 2 weeks ago, they announced that they were essentially trying to compete with TikTok. So they announced they'd noticed that the videos had gone up, and they noticed the interactions with organic posts had gone down, those sorts of things. So what they were then saying is like nearly everything on your feed is going to be a video, and more importantly, it's actually going to be a recommended video rather than something from your friends. So Instagram was usually the people you follow, you saw images or curated images or short videos, sure, but you could choose what you saw. That all went a little bit west, and they said we're basically just going to have a scrolling feed. There were some very important voices who did not like this. So you got Kylie Jenner, Kim Kardashian, and the Kardashians, obviously, when they get into any cause, tend to make a bit of a ruckus. There were also lots of people just basically saying, "This is a really bad idea. I don't like it. It's not what I'm used to. I'm going to sign out of this." And a lot of people started doing the very public, I'm out of Instagram thing. So Instagram have walked it back, or they've walked a bunch of those back. So no longer will it be full screen video feed, etc., etc. There's a bunch of things they're not going to walk back, but I thought it was a real interest. The reason I'm reporting on it is that it was a real momentous occasion for somebody like Meta to actually bow down to public pressure and to take back some of their services. They're usually based on something that we believe in the future. You just believe them because they know that it's going to be a big thing in the future. In this case, they were wrong. I thought it was interesting. TikTok Music has been submitted for a patent, so a trademark, shall I say. Of course, this is an obvious thing, and why haven't they done it before? Well, they sort of have. So they have a company called Resale in India, Brazil, and Indonesia. That is a music service very similar to Spotify and Apple Music. To be fair, you can play music, you can download it, you can do your lists, whatever you want to do. So this is basically then applying for a worldwide trademark. So this obviously makes sense. TikTok's history is very closely related to music, shall we say. So why wouldn't they? So Spotify and Apple have got some competition coming their way pretty soon. So that's TikTok Music. 3D printing, obviously I have one behind me. It is usually very noisy, and sometimes I have to do videos with 3D printing going on because it is very slow. Now this is the latest update in 3D printing, and it's one of those, oh of course, why didn't I think of that before? It is using multiple nozzles. So obviously if you use one nozzle, you use a program which essentially slices your model into lots of layers, and it figures out the most efficient way of getting around that slice with that one nozzle going around and around and around. Now if you have multiple nozzles, you then have a slightly different problem. The benefit is you can print lots of things, or you can print a lot at the same time, but the algorithm for the slicer needs to be a little bit more complicated because it needs to find out the most efficient way of getting each nozzle on each layer to print the most it possibly can without overlapping the other one and then causing too much strife. So I won't go into it too much, but essentially this is now using multiple nozzles and a very smart slicer to be able to use lots of nozzles to put little bits and bobs of the print down all on their own on the same layer. So they reckon this at the moment, just on the first experiments, is twice as fast. But obviously add more nozzles, get faster, I presume. But there you go. 3D printing will get faster quite soon. And finally, this is a blockchain hack. We haven't had one of these for a while, or at least I haven't reported on one because they're all fairly standard these days. However, this was a little bit clumsy. So this is Nomad. Nomad are a bridge platform. They will allow you to move from one blockchain to another, or at least bridge, so you can actually communicate between two different platforms or blockchains. They were hacked for $190 million this week, and it was a very simple hack, and it was human error that caused the hack. So the point of this one is that blockchain is all about safety, and it's all about security, and is always about having your personal data at the heart of it. This was really just a human error. So somebody had updated the system, and what somebody figured out is if you take a transaction, and the transaction has a whole load of guff in it, but it says this is the account it's going from, and this is the account it's going to, and this is the amount. So basically, if you just took that block of data and you copied it, and you submitted your account as the recipient instead of the original one, and just resubmitted it, it would then allow you to have that money as well. So it was just really clumsy, and a load of people figured this out, or word got around, and people just started doing it willy-nilly and just transferring chunks of money, looking for previous transactions and just basically copying and pasting them, and that's how that worked. So just a bit of a nod towards computers generally quite smart. Humans are really the Achilles heel there. So there you go. Hopefully that was interesting. Hopefully it was useful. Give us a subscribe if you're not already. You can get it as soon as it comes out, usually on a Sunday night actually. If not, I will see you next Monday.